I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Coralville City Council on January 25th, 2022 to order. Could I have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Knudsen.
Here.
Gross.
Here.
Quinn.
Present.
Dodds.
Present.
Goodrich.
Here.
All council members are present, as is the mayor, the city clerk, the city administrator, city attorney, and several other staff in the audience. I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve the agenda, please.
Moved by Goodrich, seconded by...
Can we take off item 4?
Oh,
I second. Sorry, Laurie, I'm just joking. Second.
I'm like, what? Do we have a second?
I second, yes.
Okay. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, the agenda is approved. Now let's go on to item number 4, the swearing in of our colleague, Laurie Goodrich.
Raise your right hand, please. I state your name.
I, Laurie Goodrich,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all the duties of the office of council member
discharge all the duties of the office of council member
in the city of Coralville,
in the city of Coralville,
as now or hereafter required by law.
as now or hereafter required by law. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, congratulations. Congratulations, Laurie. Okay, on to item number 5. I have a proclamation that I am going to read for Human Trafficking Prevention and Awareness Month. So, City of Coralville proclamation. Whereas human trafficking is the exploitation of a person through force, fraud, or coercion. It is found in the United States most often in the form of sexual exploitation, forced labor, and debt bondage. And whereas human trafficking is one of the world's fastest growing crimes, whose growth was only accelerated by the pandemic due to isolation, economic hardship, migration, an increase in abuse, and online activity. And whereas prosecutions for this crime, which denies human dignity and freedom and fuels organized crime, have decreased during the pandemic, with the Iowa Northern District convicting only 1 trafficker in 2020. And whereas, even though awareness of this crime is growing, human trafficking continues to be missed and go underreported due to its isolating nature, the misunderstanding of its definition, and the misdiagnosis of its indicators. And whereas every business, community organization, faith community, family, and individual can make a difference by working to protect the vulnerable within their sphere of influence, by becoming more aware of the problem and possible solutions, by educating themselves and their community on the dynamics of human trafficking in all its forms. And whereas the Coralville City Council joins Chains Interrupted and other local organizations in their dedication to providing community outreach and education, legislative advocacy, training, promotion of services to survivors of human trafficking, and collaboration with law enforcement. Now therefore, I, Megan Foster, Mayor of Coralville, do hereby proclaim January 2022 to be Human Trafficking Prevention and Awareness Month, and encourage all our citizens to become more informed on this growing problem, to be vigilant, and to work towards solutions to end trafficking in all its forms in our community. If you have questions, if you have concerns, or if you need help, reach out to Chains Interrupted at 319-364-0222, or the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 888-373-7888. Signed this 25th day of January 2022, Megan Foster, Mayor. And we have some representatives from Chains Interrupted here with us this evening to receive the proclamation. Would you like to introduce yourself and say a couple words?
You bet. My name is Tish Young. I'm the president of Chains Interrupted. This is Nikki Stallman. She's a volunteer with Chains Interrupted and our education lead. I just want to say good evening. I wanted to thank you from all of us at Chains Interrupted. I'm going to go ahead and read this because I will forget to say something. So we're a nonprofit in Eastern Iowa formed by the mission to fight human trafficking truly until there is not one slave left in Iowa, the United States, and the world. We partner closely with agencies in Johnson County, such as Domestic Violence Intervention Program and the Johnson County Coalition to End Human Trafficking. On behalf of those still in a trafficking situation, as well as those trying to regain their lives, I would like to thank Mayor Foster and the council for recognizing the problem of human trafficking by issuing the proclamation. We look forward to working with the council, the police, and many agencies and concerned local citizens of Coralville to end trafficking in our communities. And we've already worked very hard here in town. Mayor Foster and I were just talking about the Hyatt Regency and the hotels in town getting some training for House File 2259. And so we're really grateful for your skin in the game, for just doing something about it. We appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Madam Mayor, can I say a few things?
Yes.
I think too also, I want to give our colleagues and council a shout out, and the police department as well. We were one of the first cities to really regulate massage parlors and to really go in that direction. And also, I'm an educator by trade, and 2 years ago we had a student at the junior high who was literally intercepted by the FBI at the Atlanta airport that was this close to being sex trafficked. So if people think this is not happening in this community, they are absolutely wrong, and it's absolutely happening in Johnson County.
I just wanted to add, I saw the report on KCRG, so you're doing a good job getting the news out there, and I'm just very glad that Coralville is a part of it.
All right. I have your proclamation here. Would you like to take a photo? I would love that. Okay.
Kelly's on it. Yeah.
And I'm wearing blue because blue is the color for Human Trafficking Awareness Month. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. Moving on to item number 6, community comments. So now is the time for community members to speak to us about items that are either not on the agenda or items that are on the agenda but are not subject to a public hearing. Each speaker will have 5 minutes, and we do reserve the right to adjust comment time and time of individual speaking based on the number of speakers or any accommodations that a speaker may need. So is there anyone in the audience? I don't see anyone who would like to speak with us this evening. So we will move on to item number 7, the Interstate 80 First Avenue Interchange Project public hearing. So this is a public hearing for the city has agreed to donate certain parcels necessary to construct the I-80 First Avenue interchange to the Iowa Department of Transportation. So I will now open the public hearing. Is there anyone, I don't see anyone that would like to speak to us on this. Do we have any written comments?
No written comment.
Okay, I will then close the public hearing and we will consider the resolution.
Resolution approving disposal of certain real property to the state of Iowa for the Interstate 80 First Avenue Interchange Project is introduced for adoption by Councilmember Knutson, seconded by.
Second.
seconded by Nguyen. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I'd just like Scott Larson, our city engineer, just once again to remind everybody the schedule and what's all included in this project. We're going to try to take advantage of every opportunity to remind people that it is coming up.
It's going to be painful.
Yeah, so currently the project to reconstruct the First Avenue and 80 Diamond interchange into a diverging diamond interchange, the design work is really substantially complete. What we expect to happen this year, hopefully starting this spring or certainly by this summer, is we will see some of the private utilities that currently cross north-south on First Avenue underneath 80 will be relocating to kind of a pre-designated corridor off to the east side of the new diverging diamond interchange. The goal is to have those utilities relocated by this fall, because this project, the actual DDI project, has a DOT letting scheduled for this August. So if that letting goes as scheduled, there's a chance we would see some preliminary construction work happening yet this calendar year, with a bulk of the construction happening in 2023, and then final wrap up of things like landscaping and aesthetic work in spring of 2024. So not a lot of, or really any road impacts this current calendar year, but we still expect to see some activity related to the private utility relocations.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Scott, will it be the same setup that is at the 218 interchange stuff? It's just as far as like all the concrete barriers and this and that,
No, this is a completely different
Okay.
design of interchange. And I believe we have some pretty good information on our website that I would encourage folks to check out. The 8380 interchange consists of a lot of flyover ramps. The diverging diamond interchange is a completely different design, involves traffic signals and things, and it would be hard to describe in a few minutes here. So again, I would point everybody to check out the information that we provide on the website, and we've provided other information in the connection. So the one thing we do like to highlight about this upcoming interchange project is it will completely rebuild the pedestrian bicycle path. So people that want to get from one side of the interstate to the other will have a grade separated bike path available, which simply means you don't interact with vehicular traffic at all. So that'll be a big change from what we have today.
And this is quite a bit safer as well.
Yeah, the diverging diamond has a lot of nice features. One is safety. The second is the way it handles left turning traffic, because left turning traffic is really what can be what can kind of bog down signalized intersections. And again, I won't go into the details of how that all operates, but there are significant benefits to capacity with this new design.
And one of the other safety features is the Magellan pipeline will come out at a lighted trucks, excuse me.
Yes.
Which is a big deal,
Yep.
which is not very safe right now.
Right. So we'll completely eliminate the situation that we have currently, where every day we see the tanker trucks coming in and out of the driveway there on First Avenue. So they will come out at a new signalized intersection that will be immediately across from the new extension of Iowa River Landing Place, coming out of the Iowa River Landing. So
And it'll give another entrance into the IRL, correct?
that will be entrance number 3, and exit, just as important. So yeah, hopefully by again spring, hopefully no later than summer of 2024, we will have a fully operational new interchange there.
Fantastic. Does anyone else have any questions or any, for Scott, or any other comments?
Is there any over bridge or under bridge to cross from one side of the street to the other? So if they are on this side where, all the gas station and the restaurant is, they want to go over to the Iowa River Landing,
So
will there be a safer way to cross?
right. So in that situation, nothing changes. You will still cross at the pedestrian signals that are currently at First Avenue and East 9th Street. What this really changes is your movement going north and south across Interstate 80. Right now, the The bike trail and the dedicated pedestrian bridge is on the west side of First Avenue. But with this new design, if you go from the northwest side of the interchange up by the hotels, you will actually cross underneath a tunnel to a new pedestrian bridge that goes over 80 to the east side of First Avenue. And that will provide a more direct link for movement of pedestrians and bicycles coming from the north directly into the Iowa River Landing. But that same trail will then link back up to First Avenue. It will pass by the west side of Trader Joe's and connect down to East 9th Street.
Great.
So,
Thank you.
As a biker, I've looked at those plans. I'm very excited for the biking opportunities
Yeah.
there. I have a question about maintenance of traffic. Will there be one lane maintained in each direction the
Yeah.
entire time somehow? I don't know how they're
yeah,
gonna do that.
The
but-
staging plan is kind of fascinating, as you
Yeah.
can imagine. But yes, there will be one lane maintained in each direction at all times. So there will be some trail impacts that are unavoidable.
Sure.
But yes, it will, vehicular traffic will be maintained, so. And I will mention too that, again, if we stay on schedule, I think when our project is complete, I believe we will have the 4th DDI in Iowa, but I believe we will have the only one that has the grade separated, bike pedestrian trail. We think that's a really big deal.
What's that term? DDI is diamond?
Diverging diamond interchange.
I think I've seen one in Des Moines. Where are the others?
It's actually
Ankeny,
Ankeny,
Waukee is the other one.
and then the
out on-
third is going to be Cedar Rapids at Tower Terrace.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
we would be the 4th.
I
Okay.
think if you look at the DDI, the normal pedestrian, the separated is gonna be a big deal, cause it's a little confusing if you're
Yeah.
on a normal DDI and you're the pedestrian, so.
And just the length of time that you have to program those pedestrian signals to last so many seconds for crossing time. And we've all seen that at certain intersections. You get one person that has to cross, but maybe they're a jogger and they're across in 3 seconds. But you still have to wait maybe 20 plus seconds for the full time to pass. So we've taken all of that time that would be normally given to pedestrians out of the DDI entirely.
Yeah. That's great.
Anything else? All right. Roll call, please.
Gross.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Knutson.
Aye.
Resolution is approved with all ayes. Item number 8, Eagle Bend at Clear Creek, Part 1. So this resolution accepts the public improvements for Eagle Bend at Clear Creek, Part 1, and releases the subdivision from lien for those public improvements excluding the sidewalks pursuant to the subdividers agreement. Don, the resolution, please.
Resolution accepting public improvements constructed on Eagle Bend at Clear Creek, Part 1, Coralville, Iowa. Introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Dodds. Any questions or discussion on this item? Roll call, please.
Quinn.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Knutson.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
The resolution is approved, all ayes. Item number 9, fiscal year 2022 budget maximum levy. So this will set the maximum levy hearing for the fiscal year 2023 budget as required by the state of Iowa. So this is another step that we have in the budget process. This is a relatively new step. It was passed by the legislature during the 2019 session, and the public hearing would be set for February 8th, 2022. All right. Don, the resolution, please.
Resolution setting a public hearing date on the total maximum property tax dollars for the fiscal year 2023, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Nguyen, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Any questions or discussion? Should this be 2023 on the agenda?
Seems like it.
Yep, that's what, it's a typo there, yeah. Okay, any other questions, comments, or discussion on this item?
I guess pretty clueless about this. Is this the first year you said they've done this? Or is
No,
this the
this-
second?
The sec-
Yeah, this
it's
would be
Tony,
the
yeah.
actually the second one,
Yeah.
so.
Our
So-
finance director, Tony Rotlin, is coming.
So it was, this step was added to the budget process in the spring of 2019. So we would have been moving through the 21 budget then. And so the 22 was the first year that this impacted.
So that number on our document says 2022 was, I think it's $11.95 or so. Was that the max, or was that the
Yes.
budget year effective?
That was the actual.
That was
Actual.
the actual. Do you know
Yes.
what the max was last year?
Well, we set it at that rate.
So
We
the,
set it at the max.
Yeah. And that's the purpose of this public hearing, is that you're setting the maximum that the levy could be. You can go lower, but you can't
Right.
go higher.
That's what I'm saying, but last year we went to the max.
The max that was set by the council.
Right.
I mean, it's hard to say that you went to the max because that's the amount that the council set. So you see the difference there?
Well, you just said we didn't have to go to that, but typically we have.
No, to
There's-
clarify again, you are setting what the maximum rate is. You could have we could have had a $14 tax rate. We can do that under the law. The council set the maximum at the $11.97.
Last year.
Yes.
Okay.
So that, I just want to distinguish between what maximum actually means.
Tony, do you have anything to add, or?
I don't know that I do.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Dodds?
Aye.
Goodrich?
Aye.
Knutson?
Aye.
Gross?
Aye.
Quinn?
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item number 10 is bonds. So this will refinance prior bond issues for interest rate savings. The repayment source will be the city's debt service property tax levy, Oakdale TIF, 12th Avenue TIF, and Mall and Highway 6 TIF. And the public hearing would be on February 8th, 2022. Don, the resolution, please.
Resolution fixing a date for a public hearing on general obligation essential corporate purpose loan agreements, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Dodd, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gross. Any questions or discussion on this item? Tony, do you have anything to add?
This would refinance 9 separate bond issues. We're setting a hearing date in this step, and as we get closer and move through the process, we'll verify that all of the bonds that we have modeled to refinance make sense economically, and fine tune it as we get closer.
Thank you. All right. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Goodrich?
Aye.
Knutson?
Aye.
Gross?
Aye.
Quinn?
Aye.
Dodds?
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item number 11, Hazard Mitigation Grant Program Application. So this $157,500 federal grant, $21,000 state grant application with a $21,000 and $31,000 500 local match is to investigate and scope the relocation of power and communication lines to front yards and underground from 5th Street North to the railroad tracks between 6th Avenue and 10th Avenue. The resolution, please.
Resolution for the local match for the Hazard Mitigation Assistance Program, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Nguyen. Any comments or questions on this?
Yeah, I'd just like Ellen to briefly describe the project. She's worked really hard along with Mid-American Energy, and to be honest, we were surprised and happy that they were excited to work on this project, and it appears that we will have more than enough cost-benefit ratio. That's one of the things we'll be going through, but Ellen, you want to just describe this project?
Yeah, as I'm sure you're all aware, when we have a bad ice storm or the derecho or other windstorms, power lines can go down. And in the older parts of Coralville, those power lines are in backyards. So either there might be downed trees or icy streets, and it makes it very hard for people to access those, for Mid-American to get around, particularly when the lines are in the backyards. There might be landscaping and snow, all these things. So by relocating the lines to the front yard and underground, it makes them both more resilient and more accessible. And this was something identified in the hazard mitigation plan that is adopted by the entire county. All the jurisdictions have this, and so it's something that's eligible for assistance. This application would not be for the actual work. This allows us to continue to explore it. And then we would later apply, if it's deemed feasible and eligible, and the benefit cost analysis, which like Kelly said, looks favorable. If all of that works out, then we can apply for the money, which looks like about a $1.7 million project to do 270 homes. Of course, there are more homes that need it done, but this is a first step.
Thanks for all your work.
And this would be also, I think, the first in Iowa. But
It is, yes,
But the
but-
state is very interested in working on this.
Yeah, they are. It has been a little bit of a challenge because it is the first one, and to be honest, they aren't 100% sure it's eligible, but they said go through it and we'll find out as we go forward. So we'll continue to work on that.
And 270 homes would be a really big impact. That would go pretty far.
It's about 28 blocks, as I recall, so that's a nice chunk of town.
It sure
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
If you recall, during the derecho, we had some of those homes were upwards of 10 days. They didn't have power because of all the reasons Ellen explained. It's just really hard to take care of those areas. And so this would be a real benefit to those people. I remember one of them was on an emergency medical device, and so they had to try to get a generator there quickly to deal with it. Those kinds of things happen. And when you don't have power, you have to do something, so.
And unfortunately, not to be a downer, but with the impact of climate change, I'm sure we're going to see more extreme weather events like that. So this is really important, and certainly appreciate your work on it.
Yeah, Iowa Homeland Security was very excited to hear. They like the idea. They just need to figure out how we're going to do it. So we'll keep working with them.
And when we're done with the ones in the yards and things, like will we go like to the main arterial streets and things where they are too, or
With
burying power with?
Yeah, we would do the whole system as we
the
get
whole-
money,
okay.
it would,
Okay.
yeah, continue to
But
work.
a lot of the arterials will be covered, like, for example, Fifth Street's gonna be covered by our
Right.
project with Mid-American, so that'll be covered. So some of the arterials, we have other sources of funds
Okay.
to do it. It's these ones that are in residential neighborhoods, especially in the backyards, like Ellen said,
Yeah.
that's the biggest problem.
I had a couple questions. 270 homes, that's fantastic. Thanks for working on it. Out of about how many in Coralville do you think have above-ground electric?
I think there could be 5 times that many or more. I
Okay.
don't know if Kelly has a better idea.
I don't
might
think
be
it's
about
quite that,
20%.
I don't think it's quite that many, but we also have places like Mitch just mentioned that have overhead feeder to, for example, the neighborhood that Mitch, Laurie, and all 4 of us live in is served by the 12th Avenue Lynn County line, right? And so although all of our lines are buried to our houses, the main feeder to that whole neighborhood of Northridge is above ground. So there's places like that although the neighborhood is underground, the feeder to that neighborhood is not. So, there's areas like that wouldn't be this exact situation, but they get affected by it.
My other question is, kind of looking through the materials, it's unclear to me what skin in the game, if you will, Mid-American has in this whole process. This is, if you know what I mean. Obviously, it seems to me they would also benefit by having to do less maintenance on the neighborhood or the project, so.
And I think that's
How's that
something that
work?
we'll get into with this, through this process with them as to what role that they can play in the process. I do think one of the things that we know that the cities would have some, we think, role in is the actual, so everybody's that has these situations have also the line is coming into their house, and that whole part would need to be changed as well, and that would not be covered by the grant. So that's something that the city will have to figure out. And then I do think that, you know, when we get down the road, we'll figure out what kind of matches are required, and then what can Mid-American help with. They've been, for example, they have been really good on the Fifth Street project. They're gonna cover burying that whole line because they have, it's the useful life of that is up. So I think they will be willing to work with us as we go down the road.
Sure hope so.
Well, I think it's to their benefit, because if we can figure this one out, other communities will be able to do it as well. And so all the utility companies will hopefully be able to take advantage of these funds.
But yeah, like Kelly said, that's part of this scoping application, is to figure all of that out and work with them and an engineering company just to get the details figured out.
Thank you for working so hard on this, Ellen. How do you identify which resident, you know, to give sort of like to help with this?
Yeah, we looked at the areas that have these lines in the backyard, and, you know, looked at a more dense area so that, you know, we could get more bang for the buck. You know, the closer together they are, the better that is for getting it done, and it's a little more cost effective. So we went that route, but certainly would hope that going forward we could find additional funds to do additional neighborhoods.
One of the things, a couple of the streets that we've targeted, we also need on our CIP to replace the street and the water line. So our goal, and 8th Avenue is one of them, and is it 9th Avenue or 8th and 9th Avenue? The street needs to replace, water line needs to be replaced, and if we could do all of this at the same time, it would make a huge amount of sense, because it'd be easier to construct for everybody. And so that would be kind of the goal, is if Ellen can get us through this process, then we'll figure out how to tie in those other two pieces.
Is there any idea what's the timeline is for this initial step? Like, when will we know?
Yeah, well, it gets reviewed in Kansas City. It's a FEMA, it goes to the state, but then it goes to FEMA for the actual funding, but it does get reviewed in Kansas City as opposed to DC. So he's hopeful that by July 1st we would know, which is a fairly good turnaround.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Any other questions or discussion on this item? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Knutson?
Aye.
Gross?
Aye.
Quinn?
Aye.
Dodds?
Aye.
Goodrich?
Aye.
Resolution is approved with all ayes. Item number 12, amendment number 2 to private redevelopment agreement. This amendment acknowledges the issuance of the certificate of completion and clarifies that foreclosure alone is not a default under the development agreement now that the project is completed. Don, the resolution, please.
Resolution approving amendment number 2 to the agreement for private redevelopment with latitude at CA Argent, Coralville, LLC, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Knutson, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gross. Questions or discussion on this item? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Gross?
Aye.
Quinn?
Aye.
Dodds?
Aye.
Goodrich?
Aye.
Knutson?
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item number 13, First Avenue improvements, 6th Street to 9th Street. This supplemental agreement is for additional construction administration expenses incurred when the contractor missed the completion date deadline and is not to exceed $50,000. The additional expense has been reimbursed by the contractor. The resolution, please.
Resolution approving supplemental agreement number 3 with HR Green, Inc. for First Avenue improvements, 6th Street to 9th Street, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Knutson. Are there any questions or discussion on this item? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Wynn,
Aye.
Dodds,
Aye.
Goodrich,
Aye.
Knutson,
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item number 14, Commercial Property Management Services Agreement Amendment Number 2. This amendment adds the coordination and execution of agreements to provide common area maintenance in the Iowa River Landing District to the current Property Management Services Agreement. Resolution, please.
Resolution approving amendment number 2 to that certain commercial property management services agreement with Watts Group Rentals LLC, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Wen, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Any questions or discussion on this item? Roll call.
Councilmember Dodds,
Aye.
Goodrich,
Aye.
Knutson,
Aye.
Gross,
Aye.
Wynn.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item number 15, I entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Madam Mayor, I would ask the council to please consider a motion to approve the consent calendar A through R inclusive.
Moved by Dodds, seconded by
Second.
Wynn. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Knutson,
Aye.
Gross,
Aye.
Wynn,
Aye.
Dodds,
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Consent calendar is approved, all ayes. All right, moving on to item number 16, City Administrator's Report.
Matt, Mayor, a couple of items. First, Scott, we just had the kickoff yesterday for the project on Biscuit Creek, and so people will start to see some work in the next couple of weeks. So if you could just tell people kind of what to expect and what's going to happen.
Right, as Kelly mentioned, we had the pre-construction meeting for the Biscuit Creek Stream Bank restoration. And this is the project that starts just north of 6th Street and carries north upstream along Biscuit Creek through Central Park, and then continues north of 7th Street about 1,000 feet and kind of wraps around the north end of 4th Avenue Place and 5th Avenue. So what we're doing is reshaping the banks of Biscuit Creek on both sides and kind of establishing what they call a floodplain bench. And really what that does is it just helps obviously with flow during moderate flow events, but also creates that extra storage volume in the creek and when we see the really heavy flash flood type events. Beyond that, it's going to make maintenance easier, not only through Central Park, because right now the Central Park section has some pretty steep side slopes that are eroding. And once you go north of 7th Street, it's even worse. It's just it's choked by trees and other debris. So all of that is going to get cleaned out and restored to a more manageable stream bank. So what residents will see, and again, Kelly was right that we expect to see construction hopefully start in the next couple of weeks. There will be some tree clearing, mostly north of 7th Street. And then there will be excavation of material soil within the creek itself to kind of open up the channel more. The bulk of the work will be done, has to be done by the end of May. So, and we don't expect it to take a long time once they get the trees cleared. And I will say that we are going to be posting and sending out notices to the property owners that are immediately adjacent to the project impact area to give them more direct notification. But anybody can call the engineering department or the Parks and Rec department too for additional information. So.
Awesome, thank you.
And this is at least partially funded by the Clear Creek Watershed and a grant through them. So this is a benefit that that group is giving us that has been working, I don't know, Scott, 5 years maybe?
I would say at least.
Yeah, so this is a benefit from that. And then the only other thing I'll have, Mayor, is that this Saturday is the Coralville Fire Department's winter ball fights, and it's a really fun event. They are one of the few groups that really like to see cold weather, and it makes their event even more fun when the colder it is. So that'll be most of the day on Saturday, starting around 10 o'clock on, and so encourage people to come out and watch. There'll be at least 3, if not 4 states represented fire departments coming, and they had already heard from, I know, North Dakota, a fire department from up there, and South Dakota as well. So, so they're coming from some distance to participate this weekend.
They're coming here because it's warmer.
Probably.
Tell where it is.
Huh?
Tell where it is.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, it's at St. Morrison Park in the parking lot of the outdoor pool.
Fantastic. All right, thank you. Mayor's report. Well, I have a couple of things. This week has been a week of mayoral firsts for me. The first thing that I wanted to mention was the event that happened at the arena over the weekend, the newly sanctioned high school girls state wrestling tournament. And it was just a tremendous honor for me to attend and to welcome those girls, those young women, and their families, as they all got to be there when the news was announced that girls wrestling is now sanctioned in the state of Iowa. So that was just a wonderful privilege, and it was really fun to watch those girls who have worked so hard, see that come to fruition. And I just wanted to congratulate everyone that participated in that tournament, and of course, congratulations to all of the winners. I also wanted to talk about a little bit more about Human Trafficking Awareness Month. I do, as you all know, I work for the Domestic Violence Intervention Program, and we do work very closely with victims of human trafficking and stalking, in addition to working with victims, survivors of intimate partner violence. And as Mitch pointed out, it is a big problem in this community. It does happen here. And there are many reasons why this community is or why we see it so much in this community. Part of it is because of the number of hotels that we have. Part of it is the proximity to the interstate. And the other big piece is that there's a lot of labor trafficking that happens in this community, where there are wages that are withheld, where there are debt bondage situations that happen. So I just wanted to say that I really appreciated the work of these local organizations, Chains Interrupted, Johnson County Human Trafficking Coalition, and of course DVIP, their work as well. I also wanted to just get that hotline number out there again, that National Human Trafficking Hotline number, 1-888-373-7888. So if you have questions or concerns, please do give them a call. I also just wanted a quick update on the Neighbors Helping Neighbors program. I know that we are having some extremely cold temperatures. I know that we participated in that Severson Charity Challenge, and we raised some new funds for that program.
Yeah, so we started Neighbors Helping Neighbors in July, and we have reliably assisted anywhere from 1 to 3 customers a month with the funds that we've had, and the city does continue to match every dollar with 25 cents. And funds raised have ranged probably from $600 a month to $200 or $300 a month. I cannot recall exactly the number we had in December, but it was one of our higher. I think it was $700 or $800. So definitely kind of helped replenish that. And people are certainly welcome to contact United Way if they need help with their bills. And there does continue to be money available through the state as well, and some other sort resources. And we do have a page on the city website that lists all of those that have funding. In fact, I believe through HACAP, there's money too now. So there are options for people if they need help with their bills.
Yes, thank you for mentioning those other resources as well. And I really want to elevate the Neighbors Helping Neighbors program. That was an idea of our colleague, Laurie Goodrich. And, you know, if you're able to, certainly would encourage you to donate. That's just one great step forward that we've made in order to help our neighbors in need. And thank you, Ellen, for all of your work on those programs as well.
Thank you. We really appreciate people's generosity.
All right, and that is all I have. City Attorney's report.
Suffering with the cold weather.
Right.
Kevin?
Oh, I just had a little levity here. My daughter, who just graduated from the University of Minnesota, got a job at the Texas Tech Athletic Department. So she moved to Lubbock earlier this month. So she called me earlier today and said there was a winter storm warning for Lubbock. They're going to have 2 inches of snow, and they were told to bring their laptops home from work because they didn't know if they could make it into work tomorrow after 2 inches of snow.
That's cute. That's cute.
So.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Okay, so as you recall, at the last meeting, I laid down my new teacher rules for how the meetings are going to be run. So since we started down at this end at the last meeting, we'll start down at this end with Councilmember Knutson.
Sure, thanks. 2 inches will paralyze that town, I have to say. I lived in St. Louis for a while, and they didn't even handle the snow very well at all either. It doesn't take, you don't have to go very far south before it's tough. If you've been in the building the last week or so and you heard Kelly or Tony swear, it's probably because that you got an email from me or just got out of a meeting with me as I'm trying to figure out our budget. So I just wanted to thank both of them for their patience and their time in helping me understand all that. And look forward to working with them as we get towards, I guess, March and have to finalize our budget here. It's complicated, but thank you both.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Gross.
Well, at least it's not too cold for us to cancel the meeting, unlike the school board. I probably shouldn't say that since they're my bosses, but hey, we're here meeting, so they cancel for the frigid temperatures. But 2 things. I did attend my first CVB meeting as the council liaison, and another big announcement, obviously what the mayor talked about with the sanction of women's and girls wrestling, but there's another huge wrestling event that was secured. It's the United World Wrestling. I was hoping it was the WWF, the World Wrestling Federation. That's back more of, getting Macho Man. Well, I guess Macho Man passed away, but some of the other old wrestlers here. But that's not what this is. It's the World Cup Freestyle Championship that the CVB and the staff, the great staff there, have landed for 2022 and 2023, the men's and the women's. And Madam Mayor, you'll be excited to know this will be the first time that the women's tournament has ever been hosted in the United States.
Nice.
So I'm sure you'll have a major role at that as well. And then one thing, I did have a clarifying question for you, Kelly, from the joint entities meeting yesterday. There was some confusion, I don't want to say chaos, but I couldn't follow a few things. But on the Clear Creek school, is it dependent on the bond passing that they're going to buy that land or not?
Well, I would assume that that's what they will want to do. I mean, they're actually not buying the land, they're providing, we're exchanging services for the land. And I guess we haven't discussed that part of it. We're in the process of working with them on the agreement for the land. I guess that'll be a good question for us to ask.
Yeah, I think we need to, because the sentiment from people who live in the district was that it's not been well publicized, well pushed, well organized. So I don't want us to be banking on something or hoping for something to happen if it's not going to do that. And if we need to play a role of promoting it, then, at least for Coralvillians that live there, maybe we need to be sending something out, and just so people at least are aware that the election's happening. That's all I've got, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Quinn.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't have much tonight. I just wanted to let the general public know that we still have COVID tests available here at the city hall, at the library, and at the food pantry. Those are PCR tests. You can also go to the Oakdale lab to pick them up. There is also rapid tests available that every single resident can order. So just go to www.covidtests.gov. Each household can order up to 4 tests. Actually, you just get 4 tests. You don't have a choice, whether you have 1 person in your family or 10. And it take about a week to 14 days, but it might take longer than that. But I would encourage everyone to, put their order in, and continue to mask up when you are indoor, in places where you cannot socially distance. The pandemic is very still, upon us. So please take all of the safety precaution that each of us can to keep each other safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, could I still have 10 seconds?
Yes, you may.
I think they might have heard me at the district office, because I just got the alert, there is no school tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
So
for
hopefully it's not
that.
because of my comment. Okay.
You still have to go in.
Yes, but,
No, I'm just kidding. Do you?
true, I do, yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully your key fob still works when you try. to-
Exactly, yes.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
All right, Councilmember Dodds.
Thank you, Mayor. I was reappointed as the liaison for Parks and Rec. Thank you, Mayor, for that. That's one of my favorite things. We had elections last night, and Fred Fevold was elected as chair, and Duha Tawil was elected as our vice chair. So I want to thank them for their future service and leadership. I know they'll do an outstanding job. We're all very much interested in the Clear Creek Stream Mitigation Bank project. It has been accepted by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and the public comment section has been closed. So the next step is the staff is meeting with Judy Joyce, and they're going to go through all those comments and make plans from there. So that's moving along nicely. If people aren't aware, we have a new ice skating pond. It is located at 401 Oakdale Boulevard. It is open for use and is already being enjoyed. The fire department went out and put a nice skim coat on top, and they were making sure it was at least 7 inches of ice on there. So for those who like to ice skate and want to be outside in the fresh air, feel free to go out there. We are doing a deep clean at Northridge Pavilion. Some of you may have noticed it's starting to look a little aged, maybe. So the inside has been painted. They're stripping the floor back to its original condition. They're putting a new bathroom countertops in the kitchen and a new refrigerator, and they're going to power wash that exterior when they can do that. So it should look all fresh and ready to go. And then Saturday, February 5th, is the Samuel Kirkwood Eagle Watch down at the Iowa Dam pedestrian bridge from 9:30 to noon. And then the Yeti Pedal is at the Tom Harkin Trailhead from 1 to 3, depending on snow and weather. So evidently people don't like to pedal in snow. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll just put in a little plug for the eagle thing. I may or may not be there in an eagle costume. Spoiler alert, I will be. I'll be wearing an eagle costume, and I've bribed my 8-year-old son to join me. He will be my baby eagle.
And I want to add that when I was driving home from my parents today, an eagle flew over the interstate right around there. So I figured that's probably where that person resided, that bird.
Yeah.
So was going home, but had been out for a little hunt.
Nice.
So
Cool.
good to go.
Yeah, that we did that before the pandemic, and it was, and I have experience wearing the eagle costume, let me just say that.
Do you own the eagle costume?
I don't own it, but that's a good question, because you know that I am into the cosplay. But I don't own an eagle costume. Councilmember Goodrich.
Oh, you're a fun bunch.
I'm
No
so
idea.
grateful that, Mayor, you allowed me to be sworn in tonight. Thank you, Kevin, for taking the, yeah. And just have enjoyed working with all of you the last few years. And Mike, it's great to see you again after being with you in Parks and Rec a few years ago. And I just think we make a great team and really appreciate all that we can do together in keeping Coralville a great place to live, work, and play. I was so impressed and just want to give a really great thanks and appreciation to the, I think it's called, you know, we can call it Think Coralville Iowa City Group, the CVB Convention Visitors Bureau, Josh Schomburger and his crew. Just watching them work to get these awesome events in our area is incredible. And not only do they work in publicizing, marketing, and wooing people to our community, but also just put their jeans and sweatshirts on and really get after it as far as setting up. And I watched them taping mats this weekend and getting, you know, the circles ready and so on. And for me, I thought, oh, how come the high school isn't doing that? And then I realized, oh, they aren't sanctioned yet. It wasn't until that they made that announcement that now the state high school will take that over. So thank you so much, Josh Schomburger and your whole team, for all the work that you do to bring good things into our Iowa City Coralville community. I do want to mention that there is a Test Iowa company that has been at Liberty High School, and then they're going to add 2 more spots. One is Northwest. And I noticed that it's the same company that my husband and I did a test down in Florida just last week when we were there. And it was just quick and very respectful, very honoring, and we received our notice as text just minutes after we had been there. And then again later, if you sign up for that, just to say that it was an antigen test and it was negative, which I was so glad, so I could visit our grandkids. And I would suggest that's another place that you can go. The lines, you know, you stand in line a little bit, but then you have, you know, the nose swab and you're off and ready to go. So that I'm so glad that we have that here in Coralville too. I had one more thing, and that's to thank the city workers who are out in this cold weather. Thank you so much for taking care of us. Thanks.
Awesome, thank you, and thank you for the reminder about those test sites. That's a great resource.
They'll start again when the weather's not so cold, is that correct?
Yes.
I think, yeah.
Awesome.
And we said nice things about you at the last meeting, Laurie, for the swearing in.
Yes, we did.
We're good. Thank you for letting me come back.
All right, with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn.
All right,
Second.
moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.